Good afternoon, everyone. When I came to the city, it was in December 1st, 1986. The city purchased the Ark Info in 1985, but the city had only incorporated in 1977. So we can safely say that we're a technology city because it was 7 years before we actually got into, the technology. So here is what it looked like in 1985 and that same area in 2014. The development again, and if any of you are familiar with Victoria Gardens, this is what it looked like before, and there it is right now where Victoria Gardens is and the amount of development that has gone on in the city. Jack Lamb, who was our former city manager at the time, was our community development director, and Jack Dangerman actually came to the city to present GIS to the city, to introduce it to them, and Jack Lamb bought it, and of course the rest is history. And when he became the city manager a couple of years later, he took it to the city manager's office with him, which was the best move ever, because it was now actually the umbrella over the entire city. It was not any one given department, engineering or planning or whatever. We actually started an enterprise GIS without it being a buzzword or without even us knowing that there was such a thing as an enterprise GIS. So that's how GIS got started to be incorporated into the city, because coming out to the city manager's office, we could touch each department. Jack retired a few years ago, and our current city manager, John Gillison, I think he breathes, sleeps, eats, wears, walks technology. The man loves technology. So that was really great for us because he totally embraced GIS. And in the past 9 years that he's been at the city, we have just basically, exploded. We did a lot before, but it just really went to a totally different level when he was hired. The challenges, coming out of the Great Recession, we started to have the customers and the developers, everyone, we had to start answering them differently. They were coming up with more questions, they demanded more of us, and we couldn't do things like we did before with maps, laying it out and pulling these big maps out of the shelves and dusting them off and stuff like that. So we had to go ahead and come up with a different approach to adapt new technologies, and GIS was right there to start working towards this. Here is our citywide implementation, and as you can see, GIS as we service all the different departments in the city. And fire is like one of our greatest. When Solomon actually was hired, he was hired as the fire analyst to work with the fire department, and now we do everything fire. And it's been one of our greater supporters, and with them, their support of us has just totally taken off. Over here where we have the library, the animal services, Health TRC has also, it's a program at the city that we look at how the kids are eating in school, the obesity rate, and try to bring in a much better lifestyle, much better eating lifestyle for everyone. We have students that work with the city staff that helps to take this back into their schools. We have on the weekends, they have the farmers markets, I'm sorry. We have the farmers markets that we have implemented, because some of the areas in the cities that don't have actual supermarkets, that just have the run-of-the-mill smaller stores, and you don't get fresh foods there and more healthy eating. And so we've brought in the farmers markets, and we've gotten a couple of grants, and it helps us to be able to hand out vouchers for employees or residents in the city that have children under a certain age, that they could use these vouchers to help them to shop at the farmers markets. So to help to them to eat better as we go along. So one of the critical things for, I think after I'm done with this, I'll let Solomon show you what you really came to see. In implementing an enterprise GIS, one of the things that I have learned over the years is that GIS, another word for GIS is relationship. If you don't have relationships, your GIS will not work because you cannot work in a vacuum. I have learned a lot from Jack Dangerman, the man I think wrote the book on relationships. That's how, Esri I don't think would have been as successful as it is if Jack was not relationship geared. Everything he does, he builds relationships. And that's what we had to do at the city. Even though we came out to the city manager's department, we had to establish relationships with the various departments. We went to them, we talked to them, we showed them what GIS can do for them. We're not planners, we're not engineers, we are not any, of the other occupations at the city. We are just GIS professionals. I'll take that back. They are GIS professionals. I am just an administrator. But in order for this to work, you had to establish these relationships. They have to trust you, that what you say you will do and produce. And so I say to you, if you are going into the field where GIS is concerned, you have to, the first and foremost, establish great relationships, because that is the only way that your program will work. And so now I will turn it over to Solomon, and he will get going.
Thank you, Ingrid. We at the city try to get involved in all the departments. We are not just GIS department. We just don't, we have no unique identity. That's the unique thing about Rancho GIS. If you go to most cities, your GIS is under engineering, which creates an identity for the GIS department because 90% of your work is related to engineering. But we, coming from the city manager's office, everybody's our client. We have no allegiance to one department, with the exception of maybe fire, because we are close with fire. Yes, you understand that later. But we serve everybody, and as Ingrid said, the relationship is the first thing that I had to learn when I went to work for Ingrid. And how do you build that relationship? You have to identify people within the department you are trying to implement, get one person, and work with the person. We go to the field with public works staff. I'm in meetings with fire. When they are doing drills, we are there. When the police are doing active shooter training, we are there. The reason we do that is to understand their work. If you are building a solution for somebody and you don't put yourself in the solution or in the person's shoe, how do you know what you're building for the person is actually the right thing? And a quick example on that is the fire. Back about 5 years ago, I wanted to see how they react when they go on a call in the vehicle. So I used to go on the ride to see how they were using the map books we were producing for them. And it wasn't easy. You are in a big rig with headphones, sirens going, on code 3, beep, and then it just bouncing. It's like, oh my God, how do you guys see the address you guys are going? So we came back into the office, and that led us into building another product that says, you know what? We can actually put those PDFs on your MDC for you. So as a captain, you can zoom in and see it, and that says, what if they are going on a call at 2 a.m.? So those are some of the things we talk about. You have to build a relationship, put yourself in their shoes. If it doesn't work for them, we come back and we'll show you some examples of some of the things that we've done. But we are not here to sell you on GIS, but we just want to tell you that bringing GIS into local government is a win-win. Because if you think about it, about 70% to all the jobs that we do in local government are location-based. Think about it. Make mention, permit is location, right? Business license is location. Sidewalk repair is the location. Street light, street poles, all those services that we do are location-based. So bringing GIS and tying it in is a win-win. One that we work with like business license. Now, if you work in a city, most people file taxes saying that they have home occupation, right? But if you have a home occupation and you live in a city, technically you need to have a business license, right? So if you're a city, that's the revenue you are losing. So how did we go after those people? Well, the business license of every city talks to the franchise tax board. You can request the data from the tax board, and they'll give you the tax filing for the people within your jurisdiction. So with that, you can query against your business license and identify people who file business on their taxes that they have home occupation but don't have a business license. And we've been doing that for almost 3 years, and we've already brought in over 200,000. So if you're a city, that's the money you are not getting. But that's money which is there that you can use the technologies around as a city to bring in that revenue. So those are some of the things that we've been working on. So the Public Works is one of the departments that we've worked strongly with, because we believe that most of the things that they do are especially related. So what we started working with them, the first, one of the big projects we started with was the sidewalk inspection. So we went to them, and actually the guys came to us and said that we are trying to do sidewalk inspection on our own, but we want a way to use GIS to do that work. So we built up a first prototype, which was on the Juno Trimble, right, running off ArcPad. Okay, if you are not a GIS person, you will not love ArcPad. That's the truth, right? We tried it out with them. We went out into the field with them. You feel the person that you are building for, you feel the body language. Is this guy getting along with it? Is it too much clicking for them? And we realized it was too much clicking. So we said, well, let's have the Junos go back, let's meet tomorrow, and we will try it again. They came back tomorrow, and then we had it on the iPad and the iPhones for them. And we tested it out. But the whole sidewalk inspection is to identify, we want to be proactive, to identify areas within a city that has sidewalk issues. Then they can go in and fix. The original model was one person will drive the golf cart, have an Excel spreadsheet, record the location 50 feet from this junction or 300 feet from this junction, give it to the next team, the following morning they go and do it. That was how they were doing things for the longest time. And we said, no, you can do this on the iPad or the Android or whatever phone you have. In real time, the guys who are fixing it can see it, go straight to it, fix it, and you have it done. They were like, cool. So the following day, the guy comes back again, right? He comes back, the supervisor, he comes back, and then I say, you have an iPhone? He say, yeah. You have unlimited data? I say, yeah. I say, okay, play with me here. We are going to work off your data plan to make a case so we can get funding to get you the devices you need. He says, I'm down for it. We show them the application, the sidewalk. So we created an Esri account for them, brought him in, he found the map. We showed him how it was working around City Hall. He loved it. He went on the phone. He called all his crews, about 5 guys. He said, this is what we are going to do. And everybody bought on the idea that they are going to use their own plans to test the system because they believed it was going to be more efficient than what they were using. So we tried that system on their own plans for a couple of months, and they saw the speed at which they were getting the work done. Then we had data. Ingrid organized a meeting with the city manager. We present the data to the man, the city manager. He says, go ahead, Ingrid, go ahead and order the iPads that they need for them. And that is how the iPads came into the business flow in Rancho. The data was there, the commitment was there with the staff, but we went into the field, built that connection with them, that they can text us, hey, this thing is, we have some issue, and we send somebody right there with them. So the connection was there, the trust was there, and we got it implemented. Now, we started with just the sidewalk guys. So this is him. This is actually the real guy. That's Richard. He was the lead, and he was driving the golf cart on the iPad. So now they have an iPad. They have a team of 2. One identifies the issue. The second team comes in and fix the issue. So now they can actually see, and I'll show you a demo real quick. They can actually see the location, the type of repairs they are going to do. It can either be a ramp, a grind, or a complete removal. So they know exactly where it is. They can take pictures and attach pictures to it. Supervisors in the office see it in real time, and the cost of implementing this is far cheaper than trying to buy any big devices. So that's what we do. I'll show you. And the areas they start Moses. Now we have the city divided into 24 quadrants. So they start sweeping from the northwest part of the city all the way throughout the year. So what we are trying to do is to be one step proactive. If we can prevent that sidewalk from causing an injury, then you are going to have what? Claims is going to go down against the city. So that's what we are trying to do over here. So actually here, this is him marking, well, doing a marking of an area that needs to be fixed. Right, so our architecture, we use this what we call a hybrid approach. The hybrid in the sense that we have our own public server, internal server, and then we also have the ArcGIS online account. The reason why we are not 100% on the ArcGIS online account is that we had already made an investment before ArcGIS online took off. We had a public server. There was a grant-funded project that we're working with PD, which bought that server. And we already had an enterprise license. And that's the reason why we use a hybrid system to do our architecture. So the Regis server is our public server on the outside. We have another one inside. But then also we put everything, most of the things that we need goes into the ArcGIS online account, which I wish it was there before we went this, because everything you need to implement GIS is on ArcGIS online. You can get the same sidewalk thing we are doing today. You can get it running by close of day. You don't need 40 hours to get it done. You can get it done in 10 hours. So that system really has helped us to do what we do. So we get here. Let's switch to this guy right here. All right. So this is one of the other apps that we built. So we had a talk with the fire department. The fire chief, former fire chief, Chief Bell, he wanted really something to say, hey, when I'm in a meeting, I want to know my operational, what is going on in my district. We thought about it, and then we said, we will build something internal. So Ryan, Isaiah, we sat down, brought, scheme up the idea, run it by the boss. The boss said it was okay to you guys to go ahead and play with this. And we came out with the executive dashboard, and we started with just 4 tiles. So if we go into the fire department, what he has given us is that up to now, from 8 o'clock this morning, which is when the operational period of the fire department starts, up to now, they've only had 7, no, it's good. They've gone on 7 calls, all right? And all those calls are EMS calls. And then, so that was the basic thing that we started with, right? And this is the friendship. One of the chiefs called me into his office and said, I'm always constantly switching in between my screens to see my map and my incident. Can we have like a side view? And we say, oh, you mean split view? So I went back to Isaiah and I said, hey, we need to have a split view. I have a whiteboard on my screen, so I just draw it out for him. This is how it needs to look like, figure it out. So he took it off. At the end of the day, he comes back and he says, where's the iPad? We have a trial. And we got the split view working, right? Over some testing and all that. Then we had another request coming in. So every part of the application is named after a fire chief. So the split view is named after Chief Clossy, because he wanted so we call it the Clossy enhancement. So you have to make the GIS interesting. So you can have it. And then we had another request coming in from the battalion chief then. Now he's the deputy chief. He says, it would be nice for me to know how many times my units are going out on a call. So we started thinking and said, maybe let's push a bar chart down there that will show the engines, how many times an engine has gone out on a call. So if you take a look at the bar chart, what it actually means is that one engine, the ME is medical engine. So medic unit engine 172 have gone on 4 calls, and then 175 has gone on 1, so it gives it that. So as more calls are coming in, this thing gets updated. But what you don't see is what is going on in the back end. And that is where Mr. Wilson, Ryan, comes in. He's a Python guy. So you have the dispatch database here. They push a copy into another database in the city hall, right? He goes into that database and he grabs the data that we need, runs he does a bunch of things on it, then update a service, which actually shows it on the application. So we have a Python script which runs every 2 minutes. It goes in every 2 minutes to check whether there's a call, process it, and then push it up. All right, now, then we had another request coming in saying that it would be nice if, when the guys go on a call and there's a big fire in the house, the ability to take a picture and attach the picture. So now we was like, okay, how about we use the Esri app to do it? Because we already have a layer in the cloud, we can just pull it in there. So that's the first thing we developed. And we tested it for like, what, a month or so. The investigators were getting it, but I got cornered by my two guys after a meeting with Fire. That's saying that we are making those guys do more GIS when they get on the scene because the steps involved was too much for them. So they said, "Do you have a time?" I said, "Yeah." They went on my whiteboard and then sketch out a new system to say that, how about we just build an application that when they get on the scene, they hit the application up, it will bring the calls that are close to them, and then just take a picture. So, all right. So let's try that one and see. So that led us into another application which runs on the iPhone, all right? So let me bring this guy up. So here you can see the same application. Is it up there? So the same number of applications, the number of incidents that I was showing on the dashboard, on the iPad is the same that you are seeing, 7 incidents, right? So this application means that when a battalion chief or a fire investigator gets on a scene of a call, right, all he does is he fires the application off his phone, he picks the one that he wants, and automatically initiates the camera. So right now, if we take a picture, and let me get some permissions first, because what we have on the back end on this is, if I take the picture right now, will it send a notification? Okay, so what we we don't want to sit in, we don't know where the sitting man, he might be a meeting and he might get a fire chief, oh, there's an incident with a picture. So what we did on the back end is that we have a notification system that once an incident have a picture attached to it, the color will change and an email will also go to the people who needs to notify that, hey, there's some incident. So case in point, when it became very useful was the last time there was an incident in Chaffey College where somebody called in that there was a bomb or something, and they went on the alert system. They could notify them, the chiefs while they were in a meeting, say, okay, this is what's going on. Or the other one, when a little plane crashed in Rancho, the chief was out of town, but he was able to just go on the app to see the crash on the app. So right now here, if I take a picture, actually will send, so we won't do that. Normally I like to do it, but I didn't send a text message to tell them that don't disregard it, but I won't do it. But that is how it does, and then what it's able to do is once it goes into the app, it will update that layer, and once that layer gets updated, on here you will see the incident on your dashboard. Okay, now, real quick before I forget, we also gave them the option to go into history. So we gave them the chance that you can go back 14 days on your incidents to see what the incidents were in 14 days. So they can go through and then pick the days that they want, and then to go in and go back into so Ryan is doing a bunch of Python script on the end, which was challenging. And at a point in time, we may have another discussion with the folks at Esri to try, because he was able to figure out some very complex stuff of updating some layers without losing our pictures. So that is another discussion that we will bring it out. But so that is one of the so here, if we go on the AVL, so the AVL, let's bring this one up again, and I'll tell you a real quick story. So the AVL happened last year after the Monday presentation on the open ceremony at Esri, the UC conference. The city manager saw a sample up there, like some city was showing their AVL, and then we're going to lunch, and then he went to Ingrid. Why don't I have the AVL on my dashboard? So, okay, you can have it. And we say, hey, Ryan, there's a...
Actually, he attended the senior executive session, and that was the first year he went, and he decided that he was having lunch with me the next day so he could fill me in. So what we do now, this past year, we actually accompany him to the senior executive session. So when he sits there and he sends off text, well, we could do this, we could do that, why can't we do this? What happens, it allows us to see what he was seeing, so that when he hits me up with that, I at least knew what he's doing. So now we've decided you have to have a staff member accompany him to the senior executive session that he decides he's going to every year. So a staff member goes with him so we can see, so.
Yeah. The PD one, so the police one is another one that we just built, right? So Rancho PD is actually a sheriff contract. So San Bernardino downtown is where all the data, all the 911 calls reside over there, all right? So we had to go there. Now we want to be able to move Rancho's data from there into a location that we can grab and do what we need to do. So we had to set up, the architecture is a little different. We had to actually set up a secure FTP because we are dealing with sheriff to say that, hey, the data is going to a secure FTP. Go it over there. Now we have to move the data from the secure FTP into another server that we can use. Now, here, what is running on the back end is the GEO event processor. So this particular, the PD1 is using the GEO event processor on the back end. But there was a challenge over there. The GEO event processor cannot get into a secured FTP. So we had to have a way of moving the data out of a secured folder into an unsecured folder for it to grab. So we had to get another software which goes into the PD data, the FTP, moves it from there into another locator, and then the GEO event grabs it and updates the service. But here we are getting every 2 minutes, we are going to the CAS system is sending us data of the last 5 minutes of calls. So we always have an overlap. And then the calls stay in here for about 30 minutes, and then it gets off. The reason that we do that, the police runs a lot of calls, they do a lot of stops. So if we don't limit it, you are going to have about 300 incidents that you have to scroll through, which makes no sense. So we just keep it up to 30 minutes, and then the incident gets moved into an archive stage. But that is one of the other applications that we built with PD on that. The fire department uses GIS every day. You know, the AMA books, the MDC that they have, does have the GIS in it that they use in going on calls. And we are using the AVL system. So what the AVL system does is that we no longer have like hard boundaries. Most fire stations have like this engine 1, this is your area. So theoretically, it might not be the closest engine, but the AVL allows us to what? Get rid of the boundaries. You are sent on a call based on your proximity to the call, not because of traditional hard line. That's what the AVL is doing, and most of the agencies up here pretty much does the same thing. The other unique thing that Ingrid talked about is the relationship. This is an actual data analysis with the fire department. And I have a couple of other pictures with my fire chief actually doing a little bit of GIS on our GIS online. But this is how it happens. We are in there with them, we discuss, and we try to teach them the basic of our world, and they are able also to impart the knowledge that they have to actually do what we need to do. One of the things is the structural protection boundary. So top of the foothill of Rancho, we've broken it down into structural protection groups. Just in case there's a wildfire like the Edwanda fire the last time, we have packages ready ready to go to give to any incoming unit who are coming on scene to help us. So we've already pre-planned those things that are ready to go. And this is a couple of the pictures from the Edwanda fire. And this is our EOC. So as you can see on the EOC, once they activate the EOC, Ingrid gets a call. And then she activates us to say that be at the EOC. And we stay throughout the whole time, and everybody gets the color code. Whether you like it or not, you have to put on one of those colors. And I've shown you this app. So here, one other thing that we've also done, let me touch on that real quick, is in terms of the executive dashboard. Ingrid talked about it. Traditionally, city managers or the economic development team will come and ask a GIS department for a map, right? They are going to meet a client. So what we do is normally we print out a hard copy map for them. But that hard copy map is as good as the time that you printed it out, right? Now, why go the same way when your city manager is going with an iPad? Let's turn the iPad into a productive tool. Take the same map that he's requesting, push it up onto our GIS online, set him up an account, and say, sir, this is your hard copy map that you requested, but also you can have this in your hand, and you'll be able to palm around and get information that you want, click on a parcel, and get that detail that you are looking for. You changes the argument. Now he feels powered that he can stand in front of his colleagues, be able to show them this map, and then even go one step further. Just go to Best Buy and buy them a cable to say, you can plug this into your iPad and put it up on and make a presentation. And that's what we did, and we bought, all of them have an iPad, they have a cable, all of them have an account, so all the executive team in Rancho have an GIS online account. We did a training for them, 1 hour training in a room, showed them how to go into the account, how to change on and channel on and off of layers, get details information. So you move away from the traditional print me a hard copy map. The initial request comes in as, can I get a map? Get them the map, but take it a step further and put it online and give them their map and give them your toy to play with. Once they play with your toy and you are taking it away, how can I get it? That's a philosophy, that's a little, the little way that we use to, to get them to change how they are doing. And it's working. Now, if he has a request that he's asking, he will say, the last one when a meeting, he says, can I get this maps? Can you just push it in my group? That is the language the city manager is saying. Can you just push it into my group? And he will go into his app, sign in, and go into his group and be able to get a map. So you change the question. Now you're taking your GIS from here to a different level. And slowly you are changing the device from being just a plain Angry Birds to be a local government friend. And in terms of what we use for the public works, they have restriction to it, right? You go to Verizon and you tell Verizon, local government, they'll give you an unlimited plan, and then you have the same rate for unlimited. But what you also have to take into consideration is we don't want to violate the system. So we set up rules. You cannot change the account, right? You cannot go in and, in some cases, we disable the browser. So whilst they are out in the field doing work, they are only limited to doing the GIS they are supposed to do with a device. So we kind of have some kind of shield to guide them to say, look, this is to make your work well. It's not a toy for you to be there playing Angry Birds. There's no games on it. We take that argument away. So that is really much where this is going. And we have a couple of the mobile, the public app, the RC2Go for the public that we put out there a couple of years, which was centric to Esri, because everything in it was an Esri-based system that we can, if a business name change, we can go into on the back end and update it real time as opposed to making it static. So those are some of the things that we are doing. And so in a nutshell, that's a little bit of conclusion. Let Ingrid conclude it, and then we can take some questions.
So again, this is, Solomon just touched on just a few departments. We didn't show you every department. Code enforcement, when they're out in the field, the inspectors are in the field and they know that they've gone to a particular home and they've had a number of calls. This is a problem house, and they've had they're able to see all of that while they're in the field. They get another call, they actually get it on their device, their notice, so they're not coming back into the office to pick up a piece of paper to go drive back to the same place they were. Now they're able to get that information while they're right there in the field, and it saves gas, of course, and time, and they can do much more while, because of the technology. Thank you for allowing us to show off a little bit of what we do at Rancho Cucamonga, that I am very proud of what they all do at Rancho Cucamonga, and I hope that you enjoyed the presentation.